cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And this is going to be our non-spoiler review of Jumanji, The Next Level.
Dun, dun, dun.
When they announced this title, I was like, The Next Level? Come on. But if you use the video game motif that they used in the first one, it makes complete sense. And Jumanji 2 just kind of feels clunky, so it made sense.
Right. And it makes sense for the movie, too. They ratcheted it up for the next level.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We saw this over the weekend, and so we're a week behind on this one of it coming out. We were in the
Caribbean.
I was gonna say pleasant seas of the Caribbean, but our water was a little rough near our resort. So, but I want to say that I think we both really loved the first one.
Yes.
Like we went and bought it, we watched it a bunch, and whenever
Yeah.
it's on TV, we leave it on. It's one of those movies that we really, really like. We go back to several times for the comedy points and the action points and just, you know.
And it felt fresh, even though it was, I wouldn't say a remake, maybe a reboot of.
It's kind of a continuation of the original.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Reboot, whatever. It felt fresh. And that might have been the comedy in it.
Yeah.
The comedy points.
The chemistry between Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart is amazing, and Jack Black nailing it, and Karen Gillan
Right.
kind of being the straight man for everybody, but still having
And them being actually someone else, so
Yeah.
getting to show some of their impersonation.
acting range, impersonation,
yeah,
all that. Yeah, that's right. So with that all being said, this one's just as good. like just as good. And they expand in the lore of the game.
Yep.
And for me, Dwayne and Kevin Hart and Jack Black all playing new characters.
Yeah.
With as them being the avatars and them playing new characters of Donald Glover and Danny DeVito and Jack Black playing Fridge's version stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been really easy to come just do the same story again with new levels.
Yes.
And adding new characters is always good for a sequel, because then you have you do some new backstory and stuff like that and whatever. But within the confines of this story, I just think it works perfectly, because then your main characters, your main A-list actors, can show that they could do all this other stuff too. And Dwayne Johnson running around as Danny DeVito the entire time was hilarious.
Yeah. And I mean, they could not have done this story without doing that. Without it wouldn't have been fresh. It wouldn't have been new. It would have been the exact same story as before in a different setting.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would have been
and
exactly
a lot of
the same.
sequels for a long time did that. They just told the same story again in a different setting, added 2 new characters and called it good, and they took the huge paycheck. And this is, they actually thought about what they were trying to do.
Yeah, they went the extra step. It was good. It wasn't as good as the first one for me, just because it wasn't new.
Right.
But I mean, it wasn't a new concept, whatever. It's going to be like a 0.25 difference.
Right.
It was still really good.
Right.
Kevin Hart, we walked out of the movie theater and I said, did Kevin Hart live with Danny Glover for 3 months?
Yeah.
Because he is Danny Glover in this movie.
Yeah.
And Jack Black nails the guy who plays Fridge, or the Fridge character, really well. The Rock as Danny DeVito was good, but I think that Kevin Hart and Jack Black nailed their characters a little better. I mean, The Rock isn't known for his impersonations, so
no, but he was able to
I mean, really, he played an old Jewish guy.
I think
He
everybody could play an old Jewish guy.
He didn't necessarily play Danny DeVito like Chris or Kevin Hart was Daniel Glover. I mean,
Right.
I was like, wow, this is
Milo Walker.
yeah,
Milo Walker.
yeah. It was. I don't know how he did
We're
it.
gonna
but-
die if you don't get to the point. Which is just a funny running line. They also added Aquafina as one of the avatars within the game, which was a nice addition. To have her, she's had a really, really good year, guys.
Yeah.
And, everything that happened, like last year and a half with Ocean's 8 and Farewell and this, and she's got some comedy chops, but she was also able to show that she was able to embody other characters very well. I won't say who it was that she
Right,
embodies, but
right.
it works out really well.
It works for her because kind of how she is just anyway, and her
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
It all worked for her. Karen Gillian did not.
I'm so
you.
sorry. I've been trying to hold it off.
Karen Gillian only changed people once for like a short little bit, and you could tell that she definitely wasn't
As
comfortable
that,
with
yeah.
being
Yeah.
another character, which is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it worked for Aquafina.
I like too that some of the jokes that they did in the first one, they started to lean into them a little bit, and then they just kind of like didn't tell the audience we've already told that joke, but they like kind of did the whole just skip ahead, like
Yeah.
made a point of like, we've talked about this already, we're going to move ahead,
Right.
even though the new characters aren't caught up, and so it would have been really easy to sit there and just tell the same joke or have to tell the same rules of the game, and they kind of did have to do that a little bit, but instead of leaning into it and just saying like, this is the way it should be, they like said it and then said it again, and then they said it again, so it was the joke of 3, the timing of 3 and stuff like that.
Right.
So they did that, and then finally they just got to a point where they're like, just let's go. Like, and I
We
thought
don't
that
have
was
time
funny.
to keep explaining.
And I
this
thought
to
that
you.
was funny that they, like, instead of just letting it sit, they kind of kept going back to it, but also gave the audience a chance to sit there and say, okay, I remember this joke. This is what I remember of that move, of part of the reason why I like the first movie so much.
Yeah.
And then they kind of leaned into the expanding of that joke and stuff like that. They did a really good job with, like, I think, of writing this story and making it make sense moving further down the road of the universe.
Yeah.
My one critique is I would like to have had a scene of why Alex goes back and gets the broken machine, or some better.
They did.
They explain it, but I think it would have been funny to like have in the marketing, do a YouTube video like they're doing with the Far From Home stuff, where Alex sneaks back and gets the broken machine out of the trash can and comes back, and like I think that would have been kind of a nice little setup.
Yeah, that would have worked because you knew they showed it in the trailer,
Right.
that the broken machine was sitting there, so you knew that somebody somehow
Yeah.
went back and got it.
Yeah.
My biggest critique, and this has nothing to do with the people in it, it has to do with marketing. Stop showing all the funny parts in the trailers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think almost every really, really funny part we saw already.
Yeah.
And
And they landed, quote unquote, and when we were there, but they didn't hit, I think, as strong as they could have.
they landed because it felt like, okay, to be honest, we go to a lot of movies,
That's true.
and so we
That's true.
see the trailers over and over and over again, and most people don't see. They may not ever see the trailer if they don't see it on TV because they
Right.
just don't go to the number of movies that we do. So there were people laughing like you should have.
Right.
They just didn't land with me because I knew that Bethany was a horse. I saw that 50 times
Right,
before we got
right.
there. So,
We are, to be fair, we are one of the exceptions to the rule when it comes to the marketing stuff. But I agree. I agree that there's. I believe the next movie that we're going to review did a really good job of showing us stuff, but not telling us anything.
right.
And I really, really think that like something like Tenet that's coming with Christopher Nolan, I really think that's going to be like the example they want to give, because I know Christopher Nolan does not want to he doesn't want to do any marketing for it. He doesn't want anybody to know anything about this movie.
Yeah, and maybe it's an A-list director with clout that has the ability to say,
Yes.
to affect the marketing for their movie, where some of these, I won't necessarily say smaller, but
Jake Kasdan, who directed this, doesn't have the pedigree that Christopher Nolan.
well, yeah, no, I'm saying I meant like the movie name, not necessarily the
Oh, that's
director
fair.
name, because Marvel, like almost all the Marvel movies had a different director,
Yeah.
but Marvel, overarching
Right.
said we're gonna do misdirection and not
Yeah,
show everything
yeah,
in the trailer. Jumanji's a 2-movie franchise.
Right,
It's not.
right.
It's not. It doesn't have the clout to.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of 2 movies, there is a stinger at the end that leaves it for a third.
Right.
Which, if they stay for the stinger, and you'll understand, I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if that's the direction they're going to go next, I'm really excited what they're going to do and what it could mean.
That will
and stuff like that.
definitely freshen things up.
Yes, absolutely. So I think overall I liked it more than you did, which is such a big surprise around here. Score?
3. I liked it. A 3. 3.25.
4.25.
Wow.
Yeah. I was doing my list, and it's in that 8 to 12 range for
Wow.
the year. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. No, 3.25. I upped it a little bit.
All
but
right.
It's not a 4.25.
She hates it. That's our thoughts on Jumanji in the next level. Like this video. Tell us what you thought of the movie and the cast, and where they could be possibly going for the third one. And subscribe to this channel. What am I supposed to say here? Subscribe to the channel.
Do the things.
Hit the bell to get notifications for all of our trailer reactions and movie reviews and stuff like that. We're also on all the social media stuff: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All of those links are in the description down below, down there. And until next time, happy holidays. And if we don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.